I'm the moderator of this, our first Friends Life Care Wellness webinar, How Your Beliefs Affect Your Experience of Aging. Before we get started, I'd like to go over a few housekeeping items so you know how to participate in today's event. You should see this control panel on your screen. There's an orange arrow at the top left corner. This will open and close your control panel. You're listening in using your computer speaker system by default. If you prefer to join over the phone, just select telephone in the audio pane and the dial-in information will be displayed. You will have the opportunity to submit text questions to today's presenter by typing them into the questions pane of the control panel. You may send in your questions at any time during the presentation. We will collect these and address them during the Q&A session at the end of today's presentation. Please know that your questions and comments will come to us but will not be visible to other webinar attendees. A recorded version of this webinar will be available so you can view it again or share it with others. I would now like to introduce our presenter, Gail Tomarchio, Director of Wellness Initiatives at Friends Life Care. She's a licensed professional counselor in Pennsylvania, a board-certified coach, and a certified yoga instructor. Prior to joining Friends Life Care, she had a private therapy practice and was a coach at Habit Change Company. Here's Gail, how your beliefs affect your experience of aging.
Thank you very much, Maria, and thank all of you for joining us today for our first webinar. We hope that you enjoy it. So we're going to talk today about how your beliefs affect your experience of aging, but actually it's about how your beliefs affect your experience of anything with life. So as we go through today's presentation, my goal, and you'll understand later why I'm using the word goal, is that you will understand how your beliefs influence your life experiences, what's driving your behavior, and how you can use your beliefs to create the life that you want. And I'm going to start off today with a rather bold statement, and that is that you are more powerful than you know. And why do I say that? Because you have the ability to consciously choose your thoughts. And once you understand that your thoughts are based on your underlying beliefs, and that those beliefs lead to the choices that you make, you can ask yourself whether your beliefs about yourself, your health, your abilities, and everything you do in life are serving you or working against you. So if we discover that our beliefs aren't working for us, we can always change them and the stories that we tell ourselves about them. It's a simple process, however, it takes patience, awareness, and focus. So how does it work? Well, it's important to realize that your reality is a reflection of your beliefs. So if you believe that your best days are behind you, you likely experience life differently than someone who believes that life is full of limitless possibilities. If you believe that a penny saved is a penny earned, your spending habits are very different from someone who believes that money is meant to be enjoyed in a moment. If you believe that exercise makes me feel great and is the only way I can start my day, you probably have very different exercise habits than someone who believes that exercise should be avoided at all costs. If you believe that mistakes are a part of learning, you probably try a lot more things than someone who believes that making mistakes is awful. So take just a minute, think of a belief that you hold, whether it's one that's working for you or working against you, and then imagine how your life would be different if you held the opposite belief. So the important thing to remember, as you saw just on that example, your mind doesn't know whether what you're telling it is true or false. It simply believes what you tell it. So a good example of this is the placebo effect. So the placebo effect is when someone experiences a reaction after receiving a fake intervention. So what researchers have found is that if a person expects the intervention to do something, it actually appears that the body's chemistry can cause the effect that was expected. And there's been lots and lots of research on the placebo effect, and it is very real. And we could do a whole other webinar just talking about all the different examples. But for the purposes of today, suffice it to say that the placebo effect is due to one's expectations or belief that something is helpful or harmful. And sometimes we play little mind games with ourselves. I know it happened to me just earlier this week when I woke up in the morning and it seemed darker in my room than usual. And I started thinking to myself, oh, it's the middle of the night, I'll never get back to sleep, I'm tired, I'm going to be tired all day long. And then I rolled over and looked at the clock and saw that it was only 5 minutes before my alarm went off. All of a sudden, I realized I had 7.5 hours of sleep, and I felt great. So all that happened in the space of 30 seconds. It was just what I was telling myself. So think about how you may tell yourself, talk yourself into feeling good or feeling bad. So it's really important to realize that our beliefs and what we tell ourselves is very important. And actually, researchers are finding that your beliefs can carry more power than your reality. So remember that your reality is a reflection of your beliefs. So it's really important to consciously think about your beliefs and whether they're working for you. Now, the scary thing about this is that we can talk ourselves. Uh-oh. All right, I believe that there's a problem with the slides, so I have to figure out what happened. Okay, so the scary thing is we can talk ourselves into being broken down, unworthy, unlovable, old, useless, boring, etc. Think about all the negative things we hear in the media or that we tell ourselves about aging. Things like, I'm slowing down, I don't have anything to offer, I don't have the discipline to exercise. Now, what are some of the negative things that you may tell yourself that you've heard in general? So just type them into your question box. You can see the big question box and then just hit the send key. And we'll see what's coming in. Okay, so oh, that's a good one. I'm having another senior moment. And just notice as we say these, how it feels in your body. My knees are shot. Okay, that one, I've heard that one an awful lot. I can't do the things I used to do. Oh, here's a big one. I can't remember names anymore. So just see how it feels in your body as we say these statements. It's not very good. If you're anything like me, if it just doesn't feel good, it feels kind of draining. Say these negative things. But the exciting and the empowering thing is that we can also talk ourselves into being capable, wise, energetic, likable, fit, purposeful, our best selves. So some of the positive things, think about some of the positive things that you've heard about aging or that you could tell yourself about aging. Things like, I am healthy and fit. I have a lot to offer. Life is good. All right, so think for just a minute about some of the positive things that you tell yourself about aging or just about life in general, and just type them into your box. Okay. It's to, exercise is optional, so that was a negative one. Any positive ones? No longer sweat the small stuff. That's a good one. Excellent. Not really worth it, is it? Here's one, I look good for my age. That's excellent. Here's one, I welcome new experiences. Excellent. I love to learn new things. Retirement is fun. I hear that one a lot when I'm talking with my members. I have valuable friendships. That's key. That's very huge. And I love my life. So as we were saying, the positive statements, did you notice a difference in your body? Generally, we feel much, much better when we say the positive things. And if you did notice a difference, you're onto something, because research has shown that the nervous system responds to our thoughts, and the cells of our body adjust accordingly. So it's actually healthier for our body to have the positive thoughts. So no one's saying that you're never going to get sick if you think positively all the time. However, research has shown that positive thinking does strengthen the immune system. So it's really important to think positively and to keep yourself healthier. Remember, what you focus on is what you see. So it really does work to look at life through rose-colored glasses. So remember, your mind has no idea if what you're telling it is true or false. It simply believes what you tell it. So when you catch yourself thinking negative thoughts, and once you start paying attention, you're going to start catching yourself more and more. Replace the negative thoughts with ones that will support you. Remember, the subconscious mind learns through repetition. So the more that you can put the positives in, the more likely they are going to stick. So learning to replace the negative self-defeating self-talk with positive statements will allow you to consciously choose, again, that's the word choose, to change the direction of your thoughts. So when you find yourself thinking negatively, ask yourself, how is that thought helping me? So you can choose, whenever you find yourself thinking negatively, remember that you can choose a better feeling thought instead. So I think we can all agree that we felt better when I read the list of positive statements, and that maybe we felt a little bit drained when I read the negative statements. So if we all prefer feeling better to feeling negative and disempowered, why don't we think positively all the time? According to neuroscientists, 70 to 75% of our thoughts are negative. So if positive thoughts make us feel better, healthier, and more able to create the lives we desire, and we really, really want to feel good, why are the majority of our thoughts negative? So let's just take a moment to look at the way the mind works. So if you think of the mind as an iceberg, the conscious mind is that teeny little top part at the top. Is only, we're using our conscious mind 5 to 10% of the time. Right now, as you're listening to this webinar, you are in your conscious mind. So it's a part of the mind that's creative. It has the wishes and desires. It's the one that's in the present moment. And that's where we set our goals in the conscious mind. So you see our little guy at the top of the iceberg. He set a goal to reach that island. He wants to lie on that beach and just bask in the sun and really, really relax after being stressed out in this iceberg. So he has a goal to get to the iceberg, and he's telling himself he can do it, and he has a plan in mind. But as you notice underneath the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, which is 90 to 95% what we use, holds all his beliefs. And some of those beliefs might be contradictory to the fact that he can make it. They might be telling him, and he's not even aware of this. Remember, subconscious is below consciousness. You don't have the strength to paddle all the way over there. You're going to die of heat stroke before you make it. You don't have enough food to eat. You don't have the energy to get there. You're never going to make it. So it's kind of working against them. So, if our beliefs, and a lot of the beliefs that we have in our subconscious mind aren't even our beliefs. They're beliefs that were programmed in there, the things that we heard our parents say, or other family members, our teachers, our friends, our bosses. So they're all programmed in there, and some of them are based on our life experiences. But often those beliefs are driving our behavior, and we're not even aware of them. But the good news is, once we're aware of how our beliefs influence us, we can rewrite our programming. Sorry, how do we do that? Well, first, we need to understand what's not working for us. We have to look for our limiting beliefs. So to find your limiting beliefs, it's important to look at what isn't working in your life and then work backwards to uncover it. Okay, so a lot of people believe that the results they get in life are based on the behaviors that they make. And that's very, very true. You know, we have to have behaviors in order to get results. But behind the behaviors are thoughts. And we don't do any behaviors without a thought first that's driving it. And behind the thought are our beliefs. So let's take an example of two friends. And they've been talking for a while about taking tango lessons. And they both think it'd be a lot of fun to take tango lessons. But it just hasn't, the opportunity hasn't arisen. Then lo and behold, one day in their mailboxes, they get a flyer about a tango course that's going to be starting very, very close to them at a great time. So they decide, oh, this is it. We're going to take this class together. So it's time for the class to start. And what happens? One friend forgot to register. And she's disappointed in herself, but, she just missed the registration deadline and the class was full. Okay, so what behaviors did she have that led to that? So she made up excuses when her friend asked her, have you signed up yet? Oh, not yet. I've been too busy with this. I've been too busy with that. So she made up excuses and didn't register, and she filled her calendar with other items. So she didn't really have the time to go. And then her thoughts were that were leading to those behaviors that she wasn't aware of were, I'll look stupid, I won't be able to keep up, and I don't have the energy. And behind her thoughts was a belief that she's uncoordinated, that she's slowed down with age, and maybe even deep down is, I have to be perfect. So this is friend number one. Now let's check out friend number two. Look at her. So guess what? She actually took the tango lessons, and look at the results that she got. She accomplished her goal. She feels exhilarated. She has a new hobby. She got great exercise. You can definitely see she's very proud of herself, just the way she's holding herself, and she's made new friends. Now, the behaviors that she made were she registered for that class right away, she cleared her calendar, she attended the tango classes, and she danced with gusto. And her thoughts behind that were, I can't wait to learn tango. I am full of energy, and I love how I feel when I dance. So her underlying beliefs were, dancing is fun, staying active keeps me young, and maybe deep down is, I love to try new things. Who cares if I make mistakes? That's how I learn. So if you look at these two women, you look how their beliefs directly led to the results that they received. And I know when I was putting this presentation together, I became aware of some of my own self-limiting beliefs and how I'm holding myself back. And one thing that came up for me was several years ago, I came up with the idea for a children's book series, and I actually wrote one of the books and started another one, and that ended there. I haven't done anything else with it. So I started working backwards to try to figure out what was holding me back. And some of my beliefs came up that I don't have the time to do this. I don't have anything new to say. No one's going to read my books. So I realized that I really need to change those beliefs because I really do believe in the series that I was going to write. So now that I put it out there publicly, look for my series in the next few years. But anyway, so just take a second and look at your own life. And think of an area of your life that you think could be better. And if you can't think of any, congratulations, you're the first person I've ever met that feels that way. But then just see if you can look backwards to see if the underlying, see if you can find the underlying belief that may be impacting your results. Okay? So just take just a second to think about that. Okay, so then once you've found the underlying belief or identified the underlying belief, ask yourself the question, whose voice you're hearing? Is it something that you heard from a family member, from a teacher, from a peer, or is it something that you actually have told yourself in the past? Then ask yourself if the belief is true. And if it's not true, ask yourself what would be a more helpful belief instead that you could substitute. And then take just a second and think of how your life would be different if you held the more helpful belief. Okay, so hopefully you kind of gotten a little bit of insight into some area of your life that can improve just a bit. So then, so now ask yourself if your beliefs are serving you. Are they building you up, supporting you, and helping you move in the direction you want to go? Or are they programs that stop you and tell you what you can't do? Well, the good news is that you can overwrite your programming and you can program yourself for success. It all starts in your subconscious, which is very, very programmable. And I love the analogy that Wayne Lee, who's a performance coach and hypnotist, uses. He likens the subconscious to a GPS tracking system. So just like with your GPS, you put in your GPS your final destination, where it is that you want to go. You do the same thing with your subconscious mind. So you start with your beliefs, you start with where you want to go, and then you program those in. And just like in your GPS, when you get off course, your GPS has that annoying little voice that tells you that it's recalculating. Your subconscious also lets you know when you're off track, and that's through your emotions. So when you're heading in the right direction, you feel great. You're in alignment. You just know nothing can stop you. But then once you start feeling anxiety, stress, or fear, your emotions are letting you know that you're off track. And while they aren't pleasant emotions, they are helping us by letting us know that we need to look at what we're telling ourselves and to think about how we can choose to change the direction. So through awareness, we can get ourselves back on track. So to continue with the GPS analogy, the G in GPS stands for goals. So there's a saying that if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. So your subconscious can't know where you want to end up if you don't tell it what you want. So every day, think about what you want. It's even more powerful to write it down, to write your goals down, and to try to do one thing a day to reach them. And they don't have to be huge. You don't have to have a goal to write a Pulitzer-winning novel. But just having goals and setting a direction for yourself. It could be something like you noticing the positive moments in your day, doing at least one thing a day that fills you with joy, reaching out to a friend or family member that you haven't talked to in a while. So these are the types of goals that you can set. And the benefits of setting goals are to give you a direction, to energize you, to provide you with a challenge, and to make you think outside of the box. And really the great thing about goals is they stretch you into becoming the person who can achieve them. So set in your GPS where you want to go. Now the P stands for pretend. So you want to act as if you've already achieved your goal. Fake it till you make it, in other words. So why is that so important? You remember the guy on the iceberg, the little guy that was trying to get to the island, and his conscious mind was telling him he can make it, I can do it, I can do it, like the little engine that could. And his subconscious mind was telling him all the reasons that he couldn't. And remember we talked about the subconscious mind learns through repetition. So if you can pretend that you've already achieved your goal, you're programming that into your subconscious mind. So when we set goals oftentimes, we set them with our conscious mind, and our subconscious mind can hold us back if it holds the contradictory beliefs that we can't achieve it. You know, for example, someone who's always wanted to start a book club, you know, they've been thinking about it for years, but they've never done it. And then because their conscious mind is telling them they want to start it, but their unconscious mind is saying, oh, I can't because no one's going to come. No one wants to attend my book club. We won't be able to agree on the books that we're reading. It's going to be too hard, and it's too much work. So we don't want to let our subconscious mind sabotage us, so we want to pretend that we've already achieved our goals. We want to visualize that we're there. And Vincent van Gogh really understood this concept when he said that if you hear a voice within you say you cannot paint, then by all means paint, and that voice will be silenced. So you can set your goals to see yourself achieving them. And then the S stands for stress management. So you can set all the goals you want, you can pretend all you want, but until you learn to control your emotions, you're going to be stressed out, you're going to be out of alignment, you're going to be focusing on what you don't want, and you're going to get more of what you don't want. So it's important to find ways to relax and to deal with stressful situations. Okay, we've all had a bad day. We all have bad moments throughout our days, but it's not the bad days or the bad moments that matter. It's what we do with them that counts. So when we get stressed out, when we have a stressful thing happen, we can either spiral downward and just kind of really tell ourselves, oh, I can't handle this, I can't deal with it, or we can tell ourselves that even though this isn't a situation I would have chosen, I know that I can handle it and I can choose thoughts that are going to get me back on track. Okay, so just to wrap it up with the GPS analogy, in order to reprogram your subconscious mind, you want to set goals, pretend that you've achieved them, visualize how that feels to have already achieved your goal, and you want to learn to manage your stress. So I hope that through today's presentation, I've met my goals of helping you understand that your reality reflects your beliefs. Your subconscious mind is driving your behavior, and oftentimes within your subconscious mind aren't even your beliefs, they're other people's beliefs, and that you can use your beliefs to create the life you want by consciously changing your beliefs to match your desires. So I'd like to end today with the words of Henry Ford, who said, "Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right." So thank you so much for joining me today. If you have any questions or comments, be sure to type them into the text box now, or you can, if you'd like to contact me later, my contact information is on the slide.
Thank you, Gail, for the great information. We're now going to begin answering questions that were submitted during today's presentation. And you can still submit additional questions just using the question pane in your control panel. Gail, our first question is, but if it's a belief, how can I recognize that it's not reality?
Okay, so basically that's a good question. And because it's in the subconscious mind, we're not aware that it's there. But that's why if you look at your results and then you work backwards from there to try to find your underlying belief, then you can switch around. That's why I had you do the exercise of seeing how your life would be different if you believe the opposite, and to see if that was true. And then you can ask yourself, who says that this belief is true, and is this something that really works for me? So if the belief really works for you and it's something that you really believe is true, then you're getting the results that you want that's in alignment with your beliefs. The question is whether or not your beliefs are working for you.
Another question. I'm interested in the science behind beliefs and well-being. Is there a book you could recommend?
Oh, absolutely. A book that I absolutely love is The Biology of Belief by Dr. Bruce Lipton. He's a cell biologist, and the book explains the changes in the body that occur as a result of our thought process. I have a book list, a recommended reading list, that is uploaded on the GoToWebinar site that you can get the handout. You see it on your control panel, it says handouts. You can click on that and you can download the list of books. The books in a couple different, like from a scientific position, from a psychological position, and from a general well-being point of view. I explain each of those on there. So I hope that's helpful.
Next question. How can I disregard daily aches and pains and keep moving?
Okay, so remember, what you focus on is what you see. So there might be some parts of your body that have daily aches and pains, but there might be some parts of your body that feel great. So try to notice the positive. So what we focus on is what we see. So if you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, my knee aches, my neck aches, such and such aches, that's what you're going to be focusing on throughout the day. So some of these, obviously, pains are real, but if you can focus on what feels good, oh, it feels great to be able to get out of bed and stretch. Oh, I just love that I can turn my head from side to side without a problem. Or it feels great that I'm able to go on my walk today. Or I'm so happy. Sometimes I wake up and go, I'm so happy the sun is shining. So if we can notice the positive things throughout the day instead of focusing on the negative ones, it really does shift a lot of how we feel.
I think we have just one more question, and just time for one more question, and that is there a way to jumpstart positive thinking?
Yes, there absolutely there is. And I really do believe that the most important thing is your awareness that you can choose positive thoughts over negative ones. You know, lots of times it's the automatic process of our brain to go to the negative thoughts, but we can choose to focus on the positive thoughts. And one of the simplest ways to begin thinking positively is to begin a gratitude practice. And you can do that very simple. It just takes a few minutes a day, just like starting by thinking of 3 things that you're grateful for and why you're grateful for them. It actually changes your physiology and starts you off in a really good place. And then just throughout the day, when good things happen, just notice them. Oh, that person let me in traffic. Oh, that's wonderful. I mean, there's so many good things that happen to us every day that we don't even notice. So just paying attention to that will really make a difference.
Well, thank you, Gail. I have gratitude for you and for the presentation. And thanks to everyone for attending today's webinar, How Your Beliefs Affect Your Experience of Aging. Again, if you have any other questions, please contact Gail directly using the information provided here on this last slide. Once you leave today's webinar, you will receive a brief survey on the presentation, and we'd really appreciate it if you could complete that and provide your feedback. It'll help us a lot as we create future webinars. You'll also receive a follow-up email within 24 to 48 hours with a link to view a recording of today's webinar. You can share it with your friends as well. In addition, a copy of the presentation and the document that Gail mentioned is available for your download. You can see the documents there in your control panel. Thanks again, and have a great day.